We're so thrilled to have you all here at Malvern Books, and we just couldn't be more pleased to be able to host our very good friend, Scott Wiggerman, for the release of his new book of poetry, Leaf and Beak. We're so thrilled. And also to have the beautiful painting, the beautiful photographs that are up here by Paul Leachy. And wasn't the music by Joe Blanda wonderful? Yeah. So I'll now do the formal introduction. Scott Wiggerman is the author of 3 books of poetry, Leaf and Beak, Sonnets, Presents, and Vegetables, and Other Relationships. He is the editor of several volumes, including Wing Beats, Exercises in Practice in Poetry, 1 and 2, Lifting the Sky, Southwestern Haiku and Haiga, and recent poems have appeared in Decades Review, The Road Not Taken, Pinion Review, Borderlands, Texas Poetry Review, and the anthologies This Assignment is So Gay, and Forgetting Home, Poems About Alzheimer's. He is chief editor for Dos Gatos Press in Austin, Texas, has been publisher of the Texas Poetry Calendar.
Still am.
And as you all know, wonderful has been, he and David have been wonderful Austinites with us for so many years, and I'm very sad to see that they'll be moving on to New Mexico, so we'll miss them ugly. But without further ado, Scott.
Thank you. Yeah, I have lived in Austin for 35 years, so it's going to be a huge change to leave. But, you know, David and I are both in our 60s. It's, you know, time's running out. If we're going to do something different, we're going to do something different. So we decided to take the plunge, cash in on our overpriced Austin home, and find something even bigger and better in Albuquerque. So. First of all, I do want to, again, thank Joe for the great music to lead us off. And Paul, who is sitting right next to him. Paul did these wonderful photographs that you'll see all over the walls, and we will be referencing some of them. He has most of these also for sale. Maybe all of them, I don't know. All of them, okay. So if you're interested, and they're reasonable, they really are. I also want to thank all of you for coming here today. I know there's a lot of things going on, including the Her Texas reading down at another independent bookstore. But no, this is better. And of course I want to thank David, my husband. We have been together yesterday as of 18 years. So. And of course I want to thank Malvern Books for hosting this and the great spread that they provided. Lord knows, I had no idea there was going to be so much food here. But do partake as soon as the reading is over. Here's what we're going to do. I'm going to read a selection of the poems from the first half of Leaf and Beak. I haven't even had anything to drink yet. I should have. And then we're going to bring Paul up to talk a little bit about some of his photographs for a few minutes, and then I will close out the reading with some poems from the second half. What do all the poems in this book have in common? Well, as the title suggests, Leaf and Beak Sonnets, they are all sonnets, which means they're all 14 lines each. They all have approximately 140 syllables per poem, which means I can read a lot of them because none of them are all that long. Another thing that they have in common, I tend to write rather traditional sonnets, so you will find a lot of rhyme in them that a lot of contemporary poets kind of let slide by. Some of the rhyme is very slant rhyme or off rhyme. And I also, for the most part, wrote these in iambic pentameter. Means they've got a very strict meter. Da-da, 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 da-da. But hopefully when I read it, you won't notice them so much. They shouldn't be that noticeable. The other thing that they all have in common is that every single one of these poems was inspired from walking over at the wonderful trails at the Miller development. I live very close to there, walk over there almost every day for 4 to 5 miles, and had a little piece of paper in my pocket at all times. Every time I'd see something that struck my fancy, I'd stop, write it down, and keep walking. And you know, people would see me walking, and I'd be going, you know, counting my syllables, counting my stresses, and they probably thought I was one of the crazy people that just kind of walk around there. And they might be right. But there was something about doing these walks that really inspired. Maybe it's the rhythm of going, you know, just the walking back and forth to get into that unstressed, stressed, unstressed, stressed. Oops, I'm right on the camera. So let me go ahead and start instead of talking about it, and we will have some questions and answers later if you have any questions about anything. The book is structured so that it starts with a crown of sonnets, which means it's 7 poems that are interconnected. And actually, all the poems in the book are kind of interconnected because they're all about the same thing and inspired by the same thing, Miller Park. And the first half of the book then deals with winter, spring poems. Then there's another crown of sonnets, and then the second half deals with fall and summer and fall, I should say. So this is the first poem in the book, Miller Lake Park. The trees are many. Someday shade will come, but now the trail's a blister, burning more with each spring day, the summer tedium of heat and triple digits still in store. The trees along the trail are neophytes, too young to offer comfort, even in full leaf, a decade from the width and height to shelter. Bony branches all too thin, and not a single trunk that's wider than my thigh. These trees were planted every 9 to 13 feet apart, too close a span eventually. That's future talk. Resign yourself to that. Aware the trees deceive. Implore the skies for rain, a small reprieve. You'll find drought appears a lot in these poems. Wonder why. Implore the skies for rain, a small reprieve, a steady shower, not a strong barrage of wind like last week's storm, whose rush and heave tossed birds like paper napkins and dislodged 3 weeping willows from their moors, but left us little rain. New elms bent low appeared arthritic, while an older oak was cleft in 2. The leaves of trees were thrashed and sheared, but now you'd never know, for all is green and lush, though tropic humid. This is how the wild rebounds, at lightning speed, unseen. It takes its lumps, accepts what is, and plows on through. Remind yourself this afternoon, 12 months ago, this place looked like the moon. 12 months ago, this place looked like the moon, a neighbor claims. He's right. For runways stretched from east to west, no place green could commune. The airport's gone, a ghost forever etched on this locale, despite the lakes, the park, the trees. A land repurposed with new life, where asphalt once prevailed as flat and stark as Abilene. I'm glad, declares his wife, they left the tower. All the more run down in contrast to the new environment. But nothing stays the same. And when they frown, bemoan how children grow too fast, lament the changes, it's themselves they most think of, the lives they've left behind, the haunts of love. The lives they've left behind, the haunts of love and death, recede the next. A butterfly among the fire wheels, a mourning dove in prairie grass, the bee's sweet draw inside. Indeed, there is a reason. Busyness abounds. The work gets done, decay, rebirth, from germ to root to stalk. From no to yes, from down to up, the plants rise from the earth in cornucopia. They don't need us to profligate. They're wanton as the wind. They spree and spread, almost adulterous in their abandon. Some get lost, rescind their lot, while others stretch for lives hard won, their hopeful faces following the sun. Their hopeful faces following the sun, the Helianthus smile from ear to ear. On torsos lean and tall, near skeletons, they swivel necks, their skulls as cavalier as showerheads, but not a drop in sight. The sun has switched into that brutal phase these flowers laud, a parish of bright light. The hidden in full view, the seeds arrays are known to spiral to the right and left in Fibonacci sequence. Not that I would stop to count. Leave that to those more deft. I'm nonetheless impressed. That yellow eye that looks at me is not to be outdone. It's good to know that some things dote on sun. It's good to know that some things dote on sun, but so does melanoma. Cancer's not enough to keep me from a daily run, yet it is always on my mind. Besought in lotion, prepped for basting, I am drenched before I leave the house. As heat cranks up, the sweat pours down, my hapless throat unquenched, gone dry as dust. And still, I don't give up. The ducks have all flown north. They seem to show more sense. I'm fending off a dizzy spell not halfway round the lake. The sun's my foe, this angry God. I'm hearing cancer's knell. I choose to run the risk of death's flambe. I turn the bend, continue on my way.
These are really good, Scooter.
Thank you. And the last one. I turn the bend, continue on my way past scrawny sycamores and feathered cypress, but catch a whiff of fountain's fishy spray, a tiny solace. Languid sluggishness prevails. It's Houston humid, Brownsville hot. The slouch toward summer's here, and no escape in sight. I search around, but not a spot of cover to be found, no cool to drape the trail. These trees too young, and me too old. perhaps to see them age. I'd like to grow along with them, to hear their tales unfold, to witness history. But this I know, our time is brief. Some rise and some succumb. The trees are many. Someday shade will come. Thank you very much. I'm going to read some from the first section then. This one is called A Leaf. The leaves are gone, but black pecans still clutch at limbs like children refusing to heed a dinner call. While some pecans have fanned their shells like tattered petals, darkened wings, the great majority are tight as gangs, their faces draped in hoods, though winter checks such foolishness. A boulevard of oaks is also empty, save a lone green leaf that hangs on like a weekend birthday, deaf to bitter winds. And yet I see hope here, a tiny miracle, this green veined door to a new year. Let all those black nuts fall, but keep this leaf. For faith could endure, full of warmth and mystery. It might. Just watch. Happy Shining. How many of you know that song from REM? That was the title, where it came from. This is a post-Christmas poem. Emmelong is one of the streets there along Miller. On Emmelong, the oaks are decked in red and gold, in green and silver. Leaves long gone, but branches ornamented. Hopes are fed along this street by globes that shine with dawn, though Christmas was 3 weeks ago. I pray the hopes are not just mine. I never fail to fill with light, as though the bright array awakens possibilities, derails the season's blues. On January days, I need their flashy pick-me-up, and thank whoever placed them here. The wintry grays seem less oppressive, blackened limbs less blank. Shallow, perhaps, but would it be so wrong to have these sparkly objects all year long?